5 games without a win. 5. And you know what that means in Toronto? It means the front office is already sharpening their knives, and somebody's about to get traded. Welcome to Maple Leafs Nation, where patience is a luxury and panic is a 4-letter word. Well, actually it's 5 letters, but you get the point. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and today we're talking about something that's been brewing in Toronto all week. The Maple Leafs are actively shopping for roster trades, and that means heads are going to roll. Not the superstars. Don't worry. Austin Matthews and company aren't going anywhere. But everyone else? They're fair game. And we've got 3 names that could be packing their bags sooner than you think. Let's set the stage here, because context matters. Saturday night in Chicago. The Blackhawks beat the Maple Leafs 3-2. Not a blowout. Not a complete disaster. Just a loss. A regular loss. Except it wasn't regular at all. It was the 5th consecutive game without a win. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. It's early. There's plenty of time. Why are we already talking about trades? And you're right, it is early. But here's the thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs. They don't operate like normal franchises. They operate in a pressure cooker. Every loss is analyzed to death. Every decision is questioned. Every roster move is scrutinized by a fan base that's been waiting 18 years for a Stanley Cup. So when Elliotte Friedman revealed on Hockey Night in Canada that Brad Treliving is actively exploring player-for-player trades, it wasn't just casual speculation. It was a signal, a message. The front office is saying, we're not happy with where we are, and we're willing to make moves to fix it. Before we talk about who's leaving, let's establish who's absolutely, positively not going anywhere. This is important because it frames the entire conversation. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Matthew Knies, John Tavares, Morgan Riley. Those 5 names are locked in concrete. They're the foundation. They're the core that Toronto is building around. You could offer the Maple Leafs the keys to Fort Knox, and they're not trading any of these guys. Not now. Maybe not ever. That's actually what makes this situation so fascinating, because it means Toronto's front office is operating with one hand tied behind their back. They can't move their stars. They don't have premium draft picks or elite prospects to dangle. So what do they have? Role players, depth pieces, guys who are good enough to have value, but not so essential that losing them would cripple the team. That's where our 3 candidates come in. Let's start with Brandon Carlo, because this one's almost painful to talk about. Last year, Brad Treliving made a move at the trade deadline. He acquired Carlo from the Boston Bruins, betting that a 6'5", 227-pound defenseman with a reasonable contract could be the missing piece. The thinking was sound. The execution? Not so much. Fast forward to 2025 to 26, and we're already seeing buyer's remorse. Carlo has been ugly this season. Genuinely, visibly struggling. The kind of struggles that make you question whether the front office made a mistake, which, let's be honest, they probably did. But here's the interesting part. He might still have value. At 28 years old, Carlo is an ancient. He's still in his prime years. His contract, $4.1 million in the next 2 years, is actually reasonable by today's standards. And despite his recent performance, there's a market for right-handed defensemen in the NHL. Teams are always searching for that profile. So Toronto could potentially move Carlo and get a decent return. Not a superstar, not a game changer, but something. A prospect, a mid-tier forward, maybe even a pick. The key is selling high on the potential rather than low on the performance. The question isn't whether Carlo has value. The question is whether Toronto is willing to admit the mistake and move on before it becomes a bigger problem. Now here's where it gets interesting, because Nick Robertson might be the most intriguing trade candidate on this list. Robertson has been the subject of trade rumors for literally his entire career in Toronto. It's become a running joke at this point. Every offseason, every trade deadline, every time the team struggles, there's Robertson's name floating around the rumor mill like a ghost that won't go away. But here's the thing. He's actually had a really strong start to this season. And that might be exactly why now is the time to move him. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Why would you trade a guy who's playing well? But that's actually smart asset management. Robertson's value is higher right now than it's been in years. He's 24 years old. He's producing. He's got a cap hit of just $1.825 million, which is incredibly affordable in today's NHL. Every team in the league can stomach that number. So Toronto has a unique opportunity. Sell high, get a better return than they could have gotten in previous years, and finally resolve this lingering question mark that's been hanging over the franchise. The market for Robertson should be robust. Teams are always looking for young, affordable forwards with upside. And if Toronto plays this right, they could land something meaningful in return. Not a superstar, but a solid piece that addresses a different need. It's the kind of move that looks smart in hindsight, even if it feels odd in the moment. This one's going to ruffle some feathers. So let me explain the logic before you start typing angry comments. Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz are both very good goaltenders. Nobody's disputing that. But here's the problem. Neither one has shown the ability to stay healthy and handle a big workload consistently. The Maple Leafs rarely find themselves with their tandem at full strength. It's always something. An injury, a setback, a game or two missed here and there. Now, you could argue that's just bad luck. You could argue that if they stay healthy, everything works out fine. And maybe you're right. But you could also argue that Toronto needs to upgrade their reliability at the position. I know. You're thinking, that's insane. You can't trade away a starting goaltender. But actually, you can, and there's a compelling argument for why you should. Dennis Hildeby has proven that he deserves a longer leash at the NHL level. He's shown promise. He's shown competence. He's shown that he might be capable of handling more responsibility. So what if Toronto trades Woll or Stolarz to another team, acquires a more reliable, healthier option in return, and lets Hildeby develop as a backup? It sounds risky. It sounds unconventional. But it also sounds like the kind of move that could address a real problem. The Maple Leafs' inability to count on their goaltending tandem to stay healthy. The thing is, Toronto doesn't have a lot of chips to play. They can't move core players. They don't have premium prospects or draft picks. So if they want to improve the roster in front of the goalies, they have to give up something of value. And a goaltender might be exactly that something. Here's what's really happening in Toronto. Brad Treliving is trying to solve a puzzle with limited pieces. He's got superstars, but he's got holes. He's got cap space constraints. He's got a fan base that demands excellence. And he's got 5 games without a win. So he's looking at his roster and asking, what can I move to make this better? And the answer is probably going to involve one or more of these 3 names. Will all 3 get traded? Probably not. Will any of them? Maybe. The point is that Toronto is actively exploring options, and that changes the dynamic of the entire season. So there you have it. 3 Maple Leafs who could be on the move if Brad Treliving follows through on his desire to make roster-for-roster trades. Brandon Carlo, the deadline acquisition, who's already looking like a mistake. Nick Robertson, the perpetual trade rumor, who might finally get moved while his stock is high. And a goaltender, because sometimes you have to give up something valuable to improve something else. Which one do you think actually gets traded? Drop your prediction in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you think. Are you on board with any of these moves? Or do you think Treliving should stand pat and let the season play out? And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more analysis of the trades, rumors, and roster moves that are shaping the NHL this season. Let me know in the comments which of these 3 players you'd be most surprised to see in a different uniform. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.